All right, I'm very excited to be here with Plant Daddy himself, Matthew. Matthew, how are you feeling?
I'm doing great. I am doing well. It's bright and early here in Seattle. It's a lovely early morning, but I'm doing well considering everything. The love and outpouring that I've gotten from the community has been fantastic.
Well, Matthew, you really gave us a lot to think about and talk about in terms of all of the things that you had going on in this season and in your game. So I love your creative survivor mind. Very sad that it was an experience that was cut short. Can you just give us the update on the shoulder?
Yeah, I had surgery in November. The laundry list of damages that I did. So I fractured my humerus and a piece broke off that had to be removed. I fractured my scapula that had to be reattached. I tore my rotator cuff. I tore my labrum. My subscapularis muscle had to be reattached. So it was a very hefty amount of surgeries altogether. PT, was no joke,
Yeah.
but luckily, I've been very aggressive with my physical therapy, and I'm well ahead of where I should be. My doctors are, treating me as, a high end athlete. I'm with Ohio State, and so they're, been great. And I'm back to full body movements. I'm back to full training, and so I'm back to getting ready for that hopeful second chance call.
Okay. Now, first up, Matthew, please, and second chance, please stay off the rocks, okay? For all of us, leave them alone, okay? All
I'll probably
right.
just run up like
Yeah. Okay.
ah.
Has that had been floated at all of, we saw where Bruce had the medical evacuation and Jeff was there. Bruce, auto invite anytime you
Yes.
want. Has that been,
Yes.
has that invitation been offered to you?
That it's not been offered. I've been asked a lot about it, and if that invitation is offered, I'm going back. Tell me what color to wear. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
So, I my survivor book of tricks is still pretty full. My journey was short, so I didn't get to play everything that I wanted
Yeah.
to do. So I still have a lot of tricks up my sleeve.
No doubt. Was your tribe aware that this was a possibility that you were not going to be coming back to the camp?
So prior to that challenge, I met with medical and I talked with Dr. Well, and he said, we're going to talk after the challenge with Jeff on camera.
Okay.
So, being a survivor player and fan, if it's not on camera, it didn't happen. So they want this on camera. They want this to be a part of the show. And so I knew that something was amiss. And so on the bench, I said to Lauren, I said, hey, I think they're going to pull me from the game. And she's like, they can't do that. And I'm like, I don't know. I think that I don't think I'm going to have a choice.
Yeah.
And so
Go ahead.
So when we get to that actual conversation post the challenge, and they don't really show this, but that conversation was a very long one. We did a medical examination. I could not raise my arm over my shoulder. Like I was obviously injured. And so the conversation with Dr. Will was like, your injuries are so bad that I would pull you from the game. And so with that knowledge, I said, you know what, this is my journey. I'm going to own this and I'm going to do the right thing. And I'm going to pull myself from the game because my injuries are so bad, and so that was the conversation. They don't really show that. I wasn't able to go back to my tribe and say goodbyes. Had I been able to, I definitely would have passed my idol off. If I could have done it quietly, I would have gone to Kane very quietly.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, because Kane and I were very much aligned. If I had to do it publicly, I probably would have gave it to Carson or Lauren to put a target on them.
Wow.
So, and I love all of them. Don't get me wrong. I love all of them, but you're still playing the game. But that wasn't an option for me. I wasn't able to pass the idol on. I asked if I could go talk to my tribe, and it wasn't going to happen.
Were you disappointed that your decision wasn't shown as part of the episode that we got it relayed to Tika from Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that, in a whole, like I respect the editing team so much because they could have shown how much I was suffering, the true pain that I was in, and they didn't do that. And so, I'm happy that they left some of these more emotional moments out because honestly, I didn't really want to see that, that some things that, I've seen the fall scene around the world. I mean, how many times has that played? Thousands, and it's something that will be in Survivor history. It's lore. It's going to be out. So, I'm glad that, I didn't have to relive some of those moments because it was a very emotional, hard decision for me.
Yes. Okay. Matthew, I want to talk about everything that was going on with the real idol you found, and then also the fake idol that you planted
Yes.
for Plant Lady. And
Yeah.
so, can you just talk about your thought process of like what were you going for in terms of the plan that we saw executed on the show?
Sure. So, obviously, I told Brandon that first tribal council, they're voting for you, play your idol, because I wanted to flush his idol. So I went in my conversation the next morning and I say, okay, tribal's gone exactly how I wanted it to. The idol's been flushed. Now I got to go out and find it. So I walk back to camp and nobody's in camp. They're all down in the water swimming. And I'm like, this is perfect. So I ran into the jungle and I kid you not, I found the idol in 7 minutes. I'd already been like looking around, like low key, like where would an idol be? And so I went to all of those spots and I found the idol. So my original plan was to make a fake and get it to Lauren, because obviously her and I are not gelling. I'm the one that's called her out. We are the only ones really beefing at RHAP 2. Very, very low key beef. So she was the one, but we weren't talking, we weren't communicating. I couldn't get her to like go off with me. Whereas Jamie and I had so much in common on a personal level that we really enjoyed each other's company, but we strategically it was not happening. So I needed something, because I already picked up Kane because Kane's on the outs. So I needed something. So I said to myself, I can give Jamie the idol, because what happens when someone finds an idol in front of somebody else? We're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is for us.
Yeah.
And so that's what I needed. I needed to create a trust and a bond with her that was so strong that she felt like we're together. And that's what I did. And so I led her to the worms, and it took me days. So they don't really show it. So I found that idol on day 4, but I didn't get Jamie the fake until like day 7 or 8. So it was a long process.
One question I had wondered from the last episode was, were you able to talk with Jamie when you were both on the sit out mat during the challenge in the last episode?
No, we were so far apart. I think that production really learned from Claire and my first conversation. They're like, you got to keep these sit out benches.
Learned the wrong thing. It was great.
Yeah. So we were actually very, very far apart. And so Jamie and I extended one quick, like, finger high. And then she said, I love you, mouthed it to me, and I mouthed it to her. And that was it, and that was like, okay, Jamie and I are still strong. We've still got a bond. I'm worried about her, because I sent her off with this fake community idol. So yeah, there was definitely that concern, but we didn't get to, talk and she was really trying to show that she was Silka strong. She was really trying to infiltrate their tribe and do what she needed to do. So I wanted to give her the space to do that.
So you mentioned at the first tribal council, you were the one that told Brandon to play his idol. You also, I want to commend you that you did make your own survivor history. You complimented Jamie for being the first person to hit the shot in the dark, but also, in my mind, you were the first person to ever play the shot in the dark as anything other than just like a desperate Hail Mary plea of please save me, shot in the dark. You actually used it for a strategic purpose. So when did you come up with that idea? Was that something that you thought of on the island, or was that something that you thought of coming into season 44?
Well, I was coming into season 44. I never really liked the shot in the dark. Obviously it hadn't been used effectively. No one had ever pulled it. It just didn't make sense to me. And so you think about that percentage of like 16.666667. Like, where is the safety net? If that was a safety net, like it would be so big and holy.
You could have used the safety net, Matthew.
I could have. It might have saved me. But that concept of 16% is not enough of a percentage. Like if I walked into a casino and they're like, you have a 16% chance of winning this game, I'm not going to play.
Right.
So I'm like, how can I use this differently? And so that's where it came up. So because going in, I'm like, I've talked to everybody. I know where Maddie and Kane are voting. I know what Brandon's going to do. I know that Jamie's going to play her shot in the dark. I know that Lauren is going to bank her vote. I know all of these things are going to happen. So if I vote for Brandon, then Kane is not going to work with me. If I vote for, Brandon and with Maddie and Kane, he's going to be pissed off at me and he's going to be caged. If I put a vote on Lauren and force a Maddie Lauren vote, now Brandon's pissed, Lauren probably goes home.
Yeah.
So if I subvertly and play, oh guys, I'm hurt, I'm scared you guys are going to vote for me, and I play my shot in the dark, I don't vote. And then I can pick up Kane. Jamie's still great with me. Brandon has no idea that anything is going to happen. And so I get to act subvertly. And I kept the the calmness level at camp exactly where I wanted. I knew where everybody was going, and it allowed me to then try and pick up numbers.
We saw in the first episode you did Sweat and Savvy with Brandon. You told Brandon to play his idol, but I feel like you haven't mentioned that you were tight with Brandon in this conversation. Where did that relationship go after that first tribal council?
So Brandon, I mean, that sweat challenge, we did not really talk. I mean, I'm not kidding you. It was grueling. It was 100 coconuts, and I mean, if you think of a coconut weighs 5, 7, 8 pounds, we're talking about 500 pounds minimum. So here I am, the oldest guy, the oldest guy, the smallest guy. I'm like, I've got to do this. So we just said very like, hey, dude, I got your back. Like we did this, I got your back. And that was literally it. So it was a very loose alliance. And so when we got into the second day, Brandon and I had not really gotten the opportunity to talk with everyone. So when we get into the actual tribe and I'm seeing the tribe dynamic, they're talking about music and artists. And I'm like, I listen to classical music. Like, I don't know who any of these popular people are. They're talking about lyrics. I'm like, so my social game was really, I was like, oh, this isn't good. Like, I'm not interacting with everyone. So that's where the caution level rose. I was like, well, him and Lauren are talking about things that I can't even enter into the conversation because I don't know who these people are, and so they're getting really close. And that put me in a very position of I'm not as closely aligned with any of these people. So that's kind of led me to how do I get my numbers? How do I fit into this? And so, through tribal and, I came out there to have no plan and to make my plan based on what was happening. And so that was really just my whole plan was just to be fluid and to be adaptable.
Okay. A couple of other things real quick. If Ratu went to another tribal council before Carson got there, who would have gone home?
Ooh, I think that it probably would have gone to Lauren.
Okay. Interesting.
I think it would have, I don't know, Jamie would have been, it would have depended on where that idol play had happened. Because, had we gone to tribal before I got Jamie to get that hidden immunity idol, I think she would have voted with Lauren and Brandon, and I probably would have voted with them to get out Kane, Yeah. But, post that fake idol, I think Jamie was with us and we would have went after Lauren.
We saw you bond with Carson in the last episode. Did you feel like that you were good with Carson when he showed up at Ratu?
So when Carson showed up, I was devastated because I had spent days getting Jamie and getting this relationship. And I'm like, oh, I have to start all over again. I've got to secure that third. So, Carson's there and everybody is watching everybody like a hawk and everybody's watching every interaction with Carson. So Carson and I are walking and he's walking in front of me. And I was like, hey, Carson, don't look back. I was like, Jamie has the idol. And he, just give him a piece. And so I was like, if I give him a piece of information, he's going to seek me out. He's going to want to talk to me. So a day later, we finally hey, dude, I want to tell you some truths. I want to give you some information. I want you to be able to play this game and I want you to be able to trust me. So here is what's really happening on Ratu. And so it was a very much a conjoined effort by me and Kane. I'm going to come and hit him with information. Kane's going to go and hit him on the social side, the personal side, the nerd side, talk about all those things. So we were aggressively trying to get Carson. So in two different methods, but yeah. Kane and I were working together to try and snag him.
All right. And then last thing, Matthew, from a Survivor nerd, how many other Survivor challenges do you have in your backyard?
I will not answer that question because there are so many. I mean, my husband has destroyed some of them because there's just too many. So yeah, it's that again, it goes back to that whole time in quarantine. I had nothing else to do, and so it's like I'm going to make this. I'm going to make this because what else am I going to do? I'm locked in my house. I'm locked in my backyard. So it was not only, for preparation, but also for my own sanity of this was my activity. This was my outlet during that quarantine time.
Yeah, well, Matthew, I'm sorry that your time was cut short on Survivor, but really that in the time that you were there, you made the most of it. And so I have so many other things that I wish I could ask you about, but my time is cut short here with you today. But Matthew, thank you so much for everything you brought to the table, and happy to hear that you're doing better, and all the best outside the show.
Thank you so much. This has been really awesome. This is not a conversation I wanted to have, but definitely one I was looking forward to.
Very fun for me too. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.